because there we are, we're live.
Ooh, hi everybody, welcome to Tangents on Everything and Nothing. I'm John Simon, your host, and today we have Lindsay, a master's student in marital couple. Oh, gotta squeeze in. Is that better?
That's a little better. There you go. Yeah, you guys are getting a little far.
Marital family couple, blah, blah, blah. Therapy.
Therapy.
She's training to be a therapist.
Yes.
Would you like to clarify any on that?
Yeah, so just a couple and family therapist. Whenever I get licensed, I'll be a licensed marriage and family therapist. It's just a bunch of terminology for the same thing.
All right, and so there's the key word, licensed. What that license means is, don't take anything we say here as actual, factual, suggestive therapy advice stuff.
Am not licensed.
Am not licensed. This is merely a, let's see what happens in the life of a master's student.
Yeah.
Who happens to be going after marital couples, family therapy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm graduating soon.
Graduating in what, like a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, a couple weeks.
Couple weeks. So if anybody wants to throw Lindsay a party here, email us, radioactiveshack@timeofyourhalflife.com. Don't forget the hyphen between Half-Life, because, you know, that rocks. Hyphens in emails and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's start out. What got you into therapy?
Yeah. So I've always been interested in just like helping people in some way. So whenever I was like 17 years old, I think I finally was like, hey, maybe I'll try doing the therapy thing. And I didn't settle on like what field, I guess you could say, of therapy to go into until my senior year of undergrad. And then I was like, I really want to work with couples. I really want to be a sex therapist. And so that's whenever I went the route of marriage and family therapy.
Okay. What does a sex therapist actually do?
So sex therapist is just someone who specializes in like the sexual part of couples therapy. Someone who's, I guess you could say, less timid about going in and talking about the things that are uncomfortable.
So if I can kind of guess, one of the things you do is to try to help ease uncomfortable, awkward situations between inexperienced people?
Yeah, or it can just be, you know, like couples who have had satisfying experiences with other people, but for some reason aren't gelling with each other, you know. Let's see, like women who have certain types of physical disorders that make sex really difficult. Gender dysphoria issues. There's just so many different things that can impact people and how they have sex, and so that's what the sex therapist is for.
So you can cover anything from physical, emotional, psychological, knowledge just in general, and just a kind of overall blanket on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. I do want to say we do have two other people in the audience with us. We have, of course, Sam, who is being our little tech person and chat person today. So
Hello.
If anybody who has any questions for any of us, go ahead. And I forgot your name.
My name is Jake.
Jake is also here, so both of you feel free to interject, add anything to this conversation if you feel you need to or have a question yourself. Or if for some reason we have a moment where everybody's kind of like, feel free to join in. We'll also, anybody who does come onto the chats, we'll add that. Hopefully that activity will pick up.
Okay.
So, when did you graduate from your undergrad?
Yeah. So I graduated from IU Southeast in 2018. I got two bachelor's degrees, one in psychology and one in sociology. Having both, I feel like, helped me get a really well-rounded kind of, you know, at least that's what I said in my interview to get into grad school.
Nice. And how long have you been in grad school, considering you graduate 2-ish weeks?
I've been in grad school for 3.5 years. My program is technically one that's supposed to be finished in 2.5 years, but I had a lot of obstacles.
What sort of obstacles? So, yeah.
Well, I had family issues going on, and then I also got divorced during that time. Like, there was just a lot of stuff going on.
So is this the time not to make a joke saying you needed a marriage therapist?
Oh, you can absolutely make that joke.
Sweet.
I tried to get him to go to therapy. I was like, hey, this is what I do. I know this works. Why don't we try this?
But, you actually brought a very good point, and you can either say I'm wrong or right here. It really does take both parties to want to, or how many are involved in the parties to actually want to make that effort?
Yeah, absolutely. So like, it doesn't matter if it's a, you know, monogamous couple or an ethically non-monogamous poly triad or whatever you've got. Everyone has to be willing to make the relationship work, or it's not going to work.
And that's some simple advice I would say is pretty good. I mean, it's not from a licensed doctor or knowledge. It's just a, for lack of a better term, the common sense is everybody needs to pull their own weight.
Yeah, and just make that effort to honestly just care about your partner. Like, it shouldn't have to be that simple, but it is. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's one of those things that it's very obvious, but whenever you're in the middle of it with someone and there's so many emotions, you just can't think clearly. There's actually a term for it. I have level 2 certification in a specialized couple therapy that's called the Gottman Method Couples Therapy. And they talk about flooding, which is basically whenever you're so upset that your body goes into the fight or flight response. And whenever you're in that state of mind, you can't think clearly, you can't have an actual conversation with your partner in a level-headed way. So whenever people get there, it's just like they have to be able to calm down. They have to step away from it before they can even start to work on it.
Sorry, I giggled there for a second because, and I will say the word giggle. When you said fight or flight, it made me think of a cartoon I saw where it shows the penguins. It's like, you just kicked in my fight or flight response, and I can't fly. Pulls out some nunchucks. Sorry.
Nice.
So my only question is, when do you bring out the foam bats and Nerf guns so they can beat the crap out of each other? Is that a different couples therapy, or is that post this?
Well, I think she leaves that to the bedroom afterwards.
Well,
Why not both?
So, I mean, I definitely think that, like, that kind of stuff should go down in the bedroom if two people are down for it. But whenever it comes to, like, actual therapy, the less aggression, the more you actually, like, get done.
Okay.
Like, whenever couples are just fighting the whole time, I get nothing done. Sometimes I've even been like, okay, you're paying me to fight whenever you could fight at home for free.
No, don't stop. Keep paying me. Ding, ding,
You know?
Round 2,
So,
$300.
So yeah, I try to, like, not let couples fight as much as I can. And then actually couples who are physically violent with each other, we don't even see in therapy. It's considered dangerous in some ways to do therapy with couples where there's domestic violence, typically because whenever it starts coming out, it gets worse. Like, whoever the attacker is, they tend to start being more abusive. So,
Do you think that's because they feel they're losing the control that they have through their abuse, or?
I think that it's control, also being very vulnerable. People who are abusers frequently are afraid to be vulnerable themselves, and so you have someone who is incredibly guarded, like starting having their problems told. It's just...
So like being exposed, they kind of fight back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, batterers are supposed to go through, like, domestic batterers programs before they even do couples therapy.
Yeah, from my point of view, I don't see, I don't see anything progressing very much when, say, a couple split off in that manner for domestic violence. And I really don't like the fact that there are still a lot of people out there that feel they need to cling on even though they're being abused.
Yeah.
But once they can get over that, I mean, separation is probably one of the best things. So,
I mean,
my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I feel the same way. There are people who want to make it work because they have children, they can't really survive financially on their own. You know, there's a lot of reasons why people want to stay together even in these unhealthy situations.
That's connected to so many other socioeconomic aspects.
Yeah. So, plus, I mean, batterers programs, honestly, it's like, even if they do split with their partner and in best cases they do split with their partner, they still need to learn how to handle it whenever they're with somebody else.
Yeah.
So
Well, you can't give up on the abuser. Separating it from their victims is
yeah.
prime, but that person still needs help. That person still needs to overcome their tendencies. Is that's a good word?
Yeah.
So.
And I actually led a couple of sessions at a male domestic batterers group, and a lot of them were people who had been abused by their fathers and never felt like they could talk about it, or they had watched their fathers abuse their mothers, and just it became a cycle in their life. So actually being able to be a part of that group and like watching some of these men break down their barriers and like cry, it was actually this really beautiful moment for me. Even though they're with, it's somebody who has obviously done something very wrong, you still give them that chance to try to change and heal.
Everybody needs a chance, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things you can't talk about. So if I ask any questions, feel free to say I can't go there, or change the story to protect the innocent or guilty.
Sure.
Do you have any, we'll say, undergrad stories that stand out in any of your classes that might or might not relate to this, but still helped bring, I guess, open your eyes more to things that are happening out there, both with people who need this sort of therapy and stuff like that?
So I didn't get into like actually doing therapy until graduate school.
Okay.
In my internships.
So we'll move that question to your graduate classes.
Yeah. So during my internships is whenever I have actually done therapy with clients, and I've actually got over 500 hours of face-to-face client therapy. Let's see, I'm trying to... so like I said, we usually don't work with couples who are currently going through it, but I did have quite a few female clients who had experienced abuse by their partners, and just the various ways, I guess you could say, that they were abused really opened my eyes to how big of a problem it was. It wasn't just people who were experiencing economic hardship, it wasn't people who had, even people who had this cycle of abuse, like their perpetrator, and just the way it can go. I did have one client whose husband forced her to have an abortion, and this was not her choice at all, but she still felt incredibly guilty about it. Even though I'm not someone who's ever going to tell a client that getting an abortion is a bad thing, because
it's their choice.
Yeah, I'm very, very pro-choice. For her, like, she was destroyed by having this choice taken away from her. So just even things like that, I don't think I thought about it that much until I actually started working with clients experiencing it.
Okay. With all the stuff you did do in grad school, do you have any victory stories or positive outcomes that
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
I've had some really good experiences with teens, actually. I worked with a teenage girl who came out of the closet to me, and I was like one of the first people, like the first adult that she had talked to about it. And I was able to really help her overcome a lot of anxiety just around being gay and in a religious household and things like that, and helped her talk to her parents about it, actually.
Good. I'm hoping that went well by the sounds of it.
It went well for the most part.
Yeah, 'cause, well, we're looking at still that generation gap, but we're looking at location could be a big thing where people just are not ready to accept their children for who they are.
Yeah.
And yeah, I realize that can be a huge struggle. I've seen it through my family. I've seen it through other people's, and we try to let our children know that they have no fear of that. We try to be open and communicate with them as much as possible. Don't let them feel like we have any expectation. We're not going to change how we feel about them just because they're not cisgender, heterosexual, whatever. 'Cause
Right.
that's that might not be who they are. We don't know, and it's
Yeah.
them. Well, yes, they'll have to come to us about it because
Yeah.
it's them. But we're not going to hold any expectations.
Exactly, and I think that's a really great way to parent, is just allowing that freedom to explore who they are, and then they get to define themselves. Yeah, because with the teens that I've worked with who are experiencing, just gender issues, sexuality, it just a lot of it came down to feeling like they couldn't be who they were. So,
I can relate because my father passed away almost 10 years ago, and there's things I'm kind of grateful for I don't have to talk to him about because he's gone.
Yeah.
And some people look at that as a bad thing, but I also need to stress his views were very closed, and I knew there's no way to change it.
Right.
So, and that's just, there's some things it's like, all right, I'm glad I don't have to confront anything there.
Yeah.
So,
And I've had, excuse me, I've had clients say similar things where like they're glad that their parent has gone simply because it means that they're living without toxicity, really.
yeah.
And it can sound bad to say it out loud, but in reality, I mean, it's just another way of closing a relationship with somebody. Like
Yeah.
maybe with your dad, you might have ended up just walking away from him, if he hadn't passed. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think people should feel bad about it because it does make life easier whenever you don't have that toxic
Oh,
presence.
there's that stress they don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
But for those people who do have to confront that, would you have any recommendations for making that as easy as possible, or anything to say on when's a good time to know that yes, you can approach someone, or when's the time to just cut?
I think starting with having the hard conversation, like trying to discuss it with someone whenever you're in a really neutral setting. They, like maybe even they're in their home where they're not feeling like attacked or anything. They're in a decent or neutral mood, and then try to have that conversation. And then whenever you have that conversation, if you get nothing from this person, if they fight you, if they bring you down, then I think that's whenever people need to make the choice to walk away or not. And I mean, I've had plenty of friends even who have just decided, well, we're going to agree to disagree. And you can do that, but to what extent? It's really about the individual's quality of life. Like, if your quality of life is worse because you have this person in it, what can you do but do what's best for your own health?
Okay. Graduation, any plans afterwards?
Yeah, I actually have a job in line,
Nice.
which is awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm going to be working full-time as a therapist, which is great. I've had places try to hire me on as a case manager, and I'm like, no, I'm here to be a therapist. So, yeah. After graduating, that's whenever I start the process of licensure. To get my associate's license, which is where, like, I guess you could say I'm being legally tracked, but I'm still working under somebody else. I just have to take the national board exam. And so then I have the associate's license. And then with that, I have to do 1,000 hours of therapy with, I believe, 200 hours of supervision as well. And then that's how I get fully licensed.
Awesome. What's the time frame for something like that? What would be, I guess, an average? How long do you think it'll take you to reach those 200 hours, 1,000 hours?
Right. So I was able to get the 500 hours in 2 years, and that was doing it part-time. So I think that if I'm doing it full-time, hopefully within 2 to 3 years,
Awesome.
Hopefully, like that's
Yep.
that's like if everything goes well.
We had a guest on here who deals with people who have HIV or other diseases and stuff like that. And for a while, he was I won't say therapist, but he was the counselor, did a lot of things with the people. And now he's just a case manager, and he likes it a lot better because he doesn't have to. He can literally take the case and then move on to somebody else. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. If you're listening to this, I hope you are. But I can understand you wanting to actually be there, not just file the person and put them away, but to go ahead and be the person to help mold, guide, or instruct. I see a lot of typing going on over there. Do we have a guest?
We do. We have Forgive Mao was asking, what is this? And on our show, so I was just giving a little explanation.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
We're a random talk show.
Yep.
What was the name again?
It's Forgive Mao.
Forgive Mao. Hi, Forgive Mao.
Or moi. I'm sorry. Forgive
forgive
moi.
moi.
Oh,
Forgive moi.
I'm awful.
Okay,
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah.
Forgive
Don't
moi.
worry, I'm lead dyslexic too. So.
Well, forgive moi.
Well, thanks for listening, and I hope you're enjoying the show. This is kind of a random thing, and today we are talking to a future couples therapist.
Yep.
Yeah. So we were talking about post-graduation things, and so Sam's throwing the party at your place, right?
I did volunteer this a while back.
More like a party at Sam's place.
It's usually a party at my place. I have a problem.
Can we stream that one time?
No.
Damn!
Absolutely not.
Only on
Currently,
select websites.
currently living with my parents because that is a very affordable way to get through grad school.
Oh, absolutely.
Post-divorce.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that one at all.
Yeah.
No.
So I've got the job in line, and so I've been working on trying to find some place to live that'll be closer to work. So yeah, party at Sam's house, not party with my parents.
Now there is this big.
Oh, who doesn't want to throw a slamming kegger with their parents sitting in the living room? Man.
See, now that's something I could have done with my father, but that's only because he was an alcoholic. But oh, where was I going with this? I had this thing we're talking. Oh yeah, the stigma of living with your parents. That's something I think we need to get over. I mean, yes, independence is great. That's a nice American thing, being independent. But a great friend of mine, matter of fact, my best friend, his wife lived with her parents. He had his house and let his mom live there, and it was. I mean, they had this whole setup. They had no plans of moving out of her parents' house. They were there to take care of each other, but that's how they grew up. That family was priority and nothing else.
Yeah.
So there was no problem with them sharing a house with the parents, even though they were in their 40s, 50s, and
Sure.
yeah, and we need to get over that.
Absolutely. I mean, like, we're living in a society where it's practically impossible to afford anything like living on your own.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if you have a good relationship with your parents and you're able to live with them, then why not? Like,
well, my sons had this attitude. Oh, I'm gonna have to leave. Like, no, you're welcome here
yeah,
at all times. You might have to help around,
yeah,
but that's not gonna mean you have to leave either. They'll always have a place. So
yeah. And that's how my parents are. I'm 25. They're like, you can stay here for the rest of your life. We don't care. Me and my parents annoy each other, so there's no way I can live there for the rest of my life.
well,
But
that whole idea is, yes, there is a natural want to step away, have your own space, but we've definitely Americanized it into the idea of you need to be on your own.
right,
What I mean, okay, we're social people, we're social creatures. We need interaction. We lived in groups. There's a reason why we survived in groups.
yeah,
If you went off by yourself, you were bait.
yeah.
So
And I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it.
no.
I didn't realize we were ready to turn the podcast into a rant about the plutocracy, but I'm down for it.
Oh, all right. Tangents. We go on them all the time.
And here's where that happens.
Well, I mean, it comes up in therapy too. Like, I've had, plenty of adult clients be like, yeah, I'm living with mom and dad. And I'm like, cool. Like,
Yeah.
don't feel bad about that.
And I could see that. I'm living with mom and dad, and that's why I don't like it anymore. We need to get away. It's like, both of you need to calm down. If it's financially helping you,
Yeah.
that's a boon. Take it.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like, say you have a child, like, that's built in, people who can help you raise your child, which everyone needs. Everyone needs lots of people to help them raise children.
When we had our kids, we decided, okay, who's going to stay home and who's going to work, because money.
Right.
We either shell out, a couple $1,000s a month for daycare, or we just give up a paycheck and lose the same amount or less.
Right.
And it was definitely the wiser decision, because then there was always somebody there somebody could take care of. The downside is we didn't have family to fall back on. Like, oh, hey, can you babysit? My sister's 900 something miles away, plus the local families not involved. It's one of those, oh, I love having grandchildren, keep them away. I should say great grandchildren, that's a different story. Yeah, but that I see completely affecting how a group can be. And that makes me wonder, how do you get these people over the idea? It's like, yeah, you still want to have sex, but your parents are in the room next door. How do you get over that? How do you tell them that it's okay?
Well, I mean, it comes down to acknowledging that your parents are adults.
Yeah.
If you're there, that's because they had sex.
Right. And I don't know how many times I heard my parents having sex. It's like, okay.
Right?
Just move along. Yeah.
I lived in a small house with my parents at one point, and it's just one of those things you have to acknowledge. You're adults.
Yeah.
Can it be uncomfortable? Sure. Have the conversation about it. Just say, hey, I'm hearing you have sex. Mind turning on some music or something?
Right.
It can be that easy. Because
there is a reason we want to soundproof our ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our oldest sleeps, his room's directly above ours, so.
Yeah. And then, I think people also feel bad whenever they have children about their children hearing anything. So, again, it's another one of those things where with children it's obviously a lot more difficult. They may not exactly know what's going on. But research has shown that telling children about sex does not harm them in any way, It's actually beneficial for kids to learn about sex.
Okay, let's just go back 100+ years. Just still in America, you had people living on the prairie in their one-room house.
Right.
Yeah, and they got 10 kids and probably 3 more in the ground or something.
Right.
Or worse, because that's how it was. I mean, that's why they had a lot of kids, because, 1 through 6 didn't make it, but the next 4 did.
Yeah.
And it's a sad thing, but infant mortality was really high.
Exactly.
But mom and dad were right there.
Yeah.
Or even the uncle and his aunt or whatever. They were there. This happened. They didn't hide it.
Yeah, so really it's just about talking about it. I mean, sex is a natural part of, any sexual animal.
Live on a farm.
Yeah.
What are they doing? They're fucking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a little bit how I got taught what sex was. I said, hey, Mom, what's sex? And she said, hey, have you seen our dogs humping? And I was like, yeah, that's sex.
I just want everybody to know out there, chickens and ducks are very rapey.
Oh, they're incredibly rapey.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Ducks have a corkscrew penis.
And it's long, and it goes around.
And the female duck's vagina corkscrews in the other direction. So this is from a Z Frank video, but he said something like,
I love Z Frank.
he said something like mutual corkscrewing can be difficult.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, you should look up the mud skipper, and all I'm going to say is badoink doink. So, I love Z Frank. That's awesome. True facts, yes. He's probably got the best use of found footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually had ducks. Ducks are my absolute favorite. I even have a little ducky right here.
You want to show it to the camera, maybe?
Oh, sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
But so that was something that I learned about because I wasn't expecting a bird to have a penis.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so.
Well, at least it's not like an octopus. Catch!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we have a small farm. We have various animals, so kids caught on real quick what was going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fairly good introduction because with little kids, it's simple and oh, we're gonna have eggs in the morning. Kind of not really the same thing, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and there's also like my niece, whenever her mom was pregnant, my sister when she was pregnant, it's like, well, how'd the baby get in there? And so, my sister and her husband delicately found a way to explain it to a 5-year-old what was going on. But it's just one of those things. Like, it's natural. It's a part of being an animal.
Yeah.
Just talk about it.
Yep. Another thing is, for those of you who can't afford a small farm or anything, you have the zoo. But you're right; it's something that should be talked about. That is one thing I'm grateful for my parents, is they were open, they were ready to discuss, and it was as simple as, "This is how it works. To get a girlfriend, let me know if you need condoms." Okay.
Yeah, that was not my experience at all. With my parents, it was, we waited until marriage. I was an adult. We did not wait until marriage, actually. I was like,
We waited till marriage, but how come my birthday and your anniversary?
Not my birthday, my brother.
Aha!
My brother.
Still, same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was born exactly like 11 months after they got married. So, I mean, there was a little bit of time there, but not
Not
a lot.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even wait till they were adults to be married.
That is true. My parents got married as teenagers.
I'm kind of wondering how many people, it doesn't matter what group or category you want to put yourself in, we're sitting there going, well, we're old enough to get married and I'm horny as fuck. Let's do it. How many are out there?
I mean, with the Mormons, that's about everybody,
Yeah.
I mean, then you got other parts of the world where they arrange the marriage before the people even meet.
right?
Alabama?
Well, I mean, that's just called family, so.
So that's
Well, you
a
got to
sister
plan.
brother
You
life.
got to plan her reunion way in advance.
So, pardon moi, are they still listening or anything?
I don't believe Forgive Moi is there anymore.
Oh,
I think
well.
they've come and gone. But thank you for having stopped by.
Absolutely, we do appreciate it. Ford, if you're out there, you'll probably actually catch the podcast version of this. Thank you again for listening. All right, classes. We've gone through your graduation. Is there anything you want to retouch on any of those areas?
I did mention earlier, talking a little bit about like ethical non-monogamy. That's something that I feel like, even in like the world of marriage and family therapy, couple and family therapy, whatever label you want to put on it, it's still one of those things that is like incredibly under-researched. Like there's almost none
Do
about
you
it.
want to clarify what ethical monogamy versus?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, ethical non-monogamy is just having multiple partners that are all aware of each other and are all okay with the relationship.
You hear that? Aware of each other. I'm looking at you, Ben. Ben Terhune. Go ahead.
But yeah, so ethical non-monogamy is not cheating. It doesn't mean the person's incapable of being loyal. It literally is just people who feel that they are able to open their heart to multiple people. And with the right amount of communication, they can make it work. And sometimes it can be even healthier than just having one partner, simply because you're not trying to get all of your needs from one person.
Which is still explicitly different than just a normal open relationship as well.
Yeah, that is different. Ethical non-monogamy can be in different variations. There's like polyamory, which is where they're in relationship together, or maybe there's side relationships, and then an open relationship is where the partners will have sex with other people but aren't necessarily in romantic relationships with these other people.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify that for the audience, help that get out there. We do have, me and my husband have several friends that are, some of them are the ethical non-monogamous, others are definitely just flat out open. But we have several who are definitely monogamous. We definitely fall in that ourselves though. But you're right, there's not that much out there. When I was in college, I knew somebody who was trying to do a research paper on basically non-monogamous relationships. Couldn't find anything. I mean, yeah, eventually she did find some stuff, was able to write a paper, and most of her research came out from flat interviews with professors, other students and stuff, and very little true documentation.
Right. I mean, it's 2021. I don't know when you went to college, but it's 2021.
This would have been sometime in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I'm not old.
you're distinguished.
That's right. It's called kids, having kids. Just kidding.
But yeah, so even now, like, there's not hardly anything on polyamory, ethical non-monogamy, whatever.
Oh, there's Ford.
Hey, Ford, how we doing? So, do you think there's actually more studies that are in the works at the moment?
I think so.
Okay.
At least I hope so.
Well, do you think this is something that you're sitting there, there's no studies, maybe I should do my own?
Yeah, and that's something I've thought about.
Become a published writer, yes.
I actually am a published writer.
Oh, excellent.
I co-authored a article on teaching sex therapy in graduate
But that's not
classes.
a non-monogamy, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was just.
But still published. Awesome.
I still am a published author. Yeah.
Sweet.
Unfortunately, under my married name though.
And it's so hard to change that, but you still have that connection.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you can do some research and get something out there, get
Yeah.
published.
I mean, it's something that
Yeah.
I've thought about. One of my professors was writing a book and did a section on polyamory.
Mm-hmm.
It was, gosh, it's not been published yet, so I'm not sure exactly what all was in it, but it was just talking about therapy with like non-traditional couples, I guess.
Okay, so you would say it's safe to say that there are at least some publications in the works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, did Ford have to say anything since she was just online?
That I know when he went to college, I was with him, and doing better now that work is over.
Good, good. Yeah, we actually had I think 1 or 2 classes together, metalsmithing. I was a fine arts major. We met through various gaming groups and LARP groups out there, and
Nice.
happened to run into each other on Facebook. And then I was at Gen Con, and Barry was at Gen Con too, and so it's kind of nice having some touch to my past there.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't that long ago. It was only the 90s.
I was born in '96.
Hey, so that was probably before you were born.
And I was 11
Yeah.
or 10,
Right.
depends on the time of year.
Must be a summer child, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm a sweet, sweet summer child.
I'm spring, but barely, like right there. I'm almost summer.
You know, that's actually been a thing, like, as a therapist, is I've had people come in and be like, you're way younger than me. Why am I supposed to listen to you?
Because I went to school for this and you didn't.
I mean, that's basically what I say, but nicer.
Oh, come on. I thought mine was really sweet.
So,
Much more direct and to the point.
usually I'm like, well, you know, this is something that I've studied for quite some time, and I may not have the personal life experience, but I can still empathize, and I can still listen to you and try to understand the best of my ability.
I think it's kind of a recent thing for me to finally realize that I need to look at somebody for their worth of knowledge, not just because they're, younger than me and think, oh, how could they have no. I know several people who are far more educated in their specific field, and they're half my age or more.
Sure.
So they're the expert. Teach me something, that's fine. And that's something we don't see going on. We do have a lot of that, and I see this still today. It's like, well, I'm X old. I've been around 30 years longer than you, so I know better. No, you don't.
That's actually like a theoretical orientation thing about whether or not the therapist is actually the expert in the room. So you have people who are modern therapists who believe they are the expert, they kind of lead everything. And then there are postmodern therapists that believe the client is the expert of their own life. They should be the one guiding things. The therapist is just there to help. But it goes deeper than that. That's a very simplified way of...
Under that simplified definition, if I may interject on that, it's one of those, okay, you know yourself better, let me help you open those doors.
Yeah.
But without you, they wouldn't know which doors to open. So that still would put you in that, look, I am the expert of what to do. Yes, you're the expert on yourself. Because it's true,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no real knowledge except for what we've talked about you.
Sure.
And we were at Sam's place, same thing with Sam. I mean, but at the same time, I'm not trying to, pick people's brains open. And
Sure.
yeah.
I consider myself somewhere in the middle. Like, kind of what you're saying, I think the client is the expert on their life. And they need to, like, tell me what they need to be happy. But I am the one who has the knowledge. I'm more of a leader in the session. I actually do a style of therapy. It's called Satir Transformative Family Therapy. Satir is like the grandmother of family therapy, and I want to be her when I grow up.
Okay.
She believed that in hugging your clients, which is like a kind of taboo-ish kind of thing. There are some therapists who fully believe no touching your clients, and then there's others who are like, it's okay to give a hug if it's appropriate and you have consent.
I can see both sides. One, you're trying to remain impartial. The other is you're trying to help that person feel they're safe and in an area they belong and that you are trustworthy.
Right. So I've managed to really just put it down to the client. If I offer and it's very clear that they want to say no but don't feel okay saying no, I back up in a way that I try not to be awkward at all. I'm like, no, it's okay, it's cool. If they do want a hug, I'm more than glad to give you a bear hug.
Okay.
Just kind of go with their flow.
Bear, you should get some big claws. Come here.
Very large.
Okay. Future plans. We've talked about you possibly writing something because we talked about your new job. What other things do you want to see go in this? I mean, we obviously know what you'll hopefully be doing and helping a lot of people. But do you want to have? Is it right to say your own practice? Okay.
That is like a definitely long-term goal, is to do private practice eventually. It's difficult because there's, do you take insurance or do you not? And if you do take insurance, do you take Medicaid? Because Medicaid is fucked. If Medicaid can't see that the client is making progress, they can take back the money that they've already given you for those sessions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't blame Medicaid itself. I blame the people who wrote the laws for it.
I mean,
and
absolutely.
it is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's definitely not like.
Oh, you may have had a heart attack, and we just paid for all of your stuff, but we decided that heart attack wasn't good for you, and so we wanted all the money that we paid the surgeon to put the stent in and keep you alive.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why, it's private practice is very difficult.
Yeah, we could have a whole show on insurance, but this isn't it.
Yeah. So that is a goal, but it is going through what I want to be able to offer to people. If I can afford, to to take insurance, which I know sounds awful. Like, I hate our capitalistic society that has to make me think of things like that. But it's can I afford to have a private practice?
Are we really in a good capitalist system? Because we're not. We're the only developed country that has medical debt. Oh, and for those of you who can hear it occasionally, we're in the Owen Valley Public Library, and directly above us in this wonderfully not soundproof room, they hold violin lessons on Mondays. So I don't have any objection to it. If anybody out there does, tough because, somebody's trying to learn something up there, so get over it.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the progress in future episodes.
Yeah, well, they constantly get new kids. When I first started doing this, it was up there, and they were actually pretty good. Yeah, sorry, that's just... I was hearing it, and I realized it might be picked up on the mic.
Yeah. Hopefully, if they don't make any progress, the parents don't take the money back.
Right? I wonder if I could do that.
All right, Ford's good with the violin lessons. Thank you, Ford.
Sweet!
All in the pursuit of education.
I didn't like my education, so I want to go back to my school and get my money back. Can I do that? I'm kidding. I actually didn't like the school I went to. I just... that whole money thing just kind of helps you actually finish going to school, but that's a different story too.
That was one thing about my school. I go to Purdue University Northwest. It's an amazing program. Like, they accept 9 students a year, so it's small. They care about you. It's been an amazing educational experience. Like, I've had a lot of shit go on in my own life during it, but as far as being taken care of by the staff in my program, I don't think I could have asked for anything better.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was warned that if I ever actually went into the master's, that I needed to find a school, a professor that actually I got along with. Otherwise, I would never get anywhere.
Yeah, I believe that. Because if I didn't like my professors, the clinical director, I can't imagine that I would have been able to get through all the difficult things that I was experiencing and still manage to be a therapist and a student.
Because then you'll have to get therapy yourself.
I mean, most therapists actually have their own therapists.
I was thinking because of school, not because of just general. But yeah, the therapists I've known both professionally and in real life, I can't think of one of them that didn't go to therapy for something. Yeah.
And it's, because whenever you know that it works and something you believe in and you know that you can better yourself, I mean, why not? I have gone to a few different therapists in my adulthood, and each time it's given me something very valuable.
Excellent. And
So
hopefully you can now help more people. And
absolutely
have with 500 hours. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely taken things that therapists used and when working with me and used those with my clients. So it's good.
Let's turn the questions a little bit here, something possibly semi-dark, without, of course, getting into detail and protecting the innocent. What's the worst case you've kind of had to deal with?
That's a difficult question because there's a lot of different types of worst. You know what I mean?
I can't really say
Oh,
which would be, but I mean,
right.
like, least successful, bad outcome, that sort of thing.
I could say the case that affected me the most emotionally as a therapist, in a unfortunately negative way, was I was working with a child who parents were both drug addicts, and so that they were living with a family member, and the family member did not want them. So it was this child just trying to be loved and taken care of, and was so unwanted, and it broke my heart, and every time I think about them I get a little bit sad, like because I wasn't able to do my job because they did not have a safe place, like if especially with children, if they do not have a safe place to come home to, they can't really make progress. And it's just whenever you're still in the trauma, you can't recover. So that was probably my hardest case because I got nowhere with her.
Yeah, I can only imagine all the directions that could have gone in, both negatively and positively, but not too many positive. And it's, how would you like to see something like that have a better effect? Have the objects needed, like a safe space? Would that be something like a program where, all right, these people really do need their own place. Here, let's put them in housing or give them something like that. I'm generalizing here, but do you think something like that could, or what's your recommendation?
I mean, technically we're supposed to already have that with foster care, right? Like that's what foster care is supposed to be, is getting children who don't have a stable home environment in a stable home environment. But it's pretty common knowledge that foster care is shit.
Yeah.
And so even kids who are in the system end up not having a stable home environment. Residential facilities, they don't exactly have a lot of success rates either, especially ones that try to force religion instead of actual
healing.
Yeah.
Replace your abuser, sorry.
Right. Not saying that, you can't get healing with religion, just...
To each their own, honestly.
Yeah. That's kind of what I think. And there's just not a lot of success as children. There's more success with adults who are in, like, more residential situations, but whenever you're in adulthood, you are more, you're more responsible for yourself.
Well, I would also feel like as a child, there's a whole bunch of limitations because it really comes down to who's going to take care of the child.
Right, exactly. And you get a whole lot of, runaways. I honestly don't really know how I don't know how to make it better. Like, it's one of those things that I want to be a part of that change.
Yeah.
But, like, where I'm at right now, I don't really know how to make it better.
Well, something to hopefully work on in the future on that.
Yeah.
Let's swing back to maybe a more positive thing here. You start your job how soon after graduation?
I start on the 20th, and I graduate on the 11th next
Okay.
month. So very,
So you get like not even a week off.
like 9 days.
Okay, you get a week off. That's not bad.
So yeah, that'll be really exciting.
Right. And get a couple paychecks in, find a place hopefully you can afford, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I've been, oh god, I completely lost my train of thought for a
That happens a lot here. Don't worry about it.
Trying to find a place in Bloomington has been hell.
It has been pretty
Yeah.
awful. But
Yeah, I've sorry to interrupt you. I know a few
Okay.
people who are looking for places in Bloomington and giving up and going to the surroundings.
yeah.
So they're looking at moving out as far as I am, and I'm another 8 miles west.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
By Freedom?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's been the difficult part. But I feel really lucky to be graduating and then immediately going into a job.
Yeah.
It's really, I feel very fortunate for it. Now I remember what I was going to say.
Okay.
It's actually been a full year now since I've actually done therapy with anyone, because this last year I've moved home and have been able to finish the last part of my degree online.
Mhm.
So I haven't actually seen clients in a year, and I miss it so much.
I didn't even think about how has the pandemic really affected that?
The pandemic forced me to learn how to use telehealth. It forced me to learn how to have a video call and try to get the same level of, I think,
Communication?
I almost want to say intimacy. Something,
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like there is a connection that you have, a way that you open up to somebody.
Mhm.
You're bearing your heart in a unique way, you know. I'm trying to think what a better word for that would be. But it's definitely like sharing the darkest parts of yourself with someone. So how do you do that over a video call?
Because the video calls are very disassociated because it's not there. I mean, you're physically not there. So closing that gap, even though sure you're talking to each other at the speed of light, according to some people.
Right.
It's I mean, how would you actually describe that? Because it's definitely not as intimate, but there's got to be another word. And I'm going to be stuck on that for a bit. Yeah.
But it's it's a lot harder in other ways too, because I consider myself a very experientialist. Brain no do work good.
Yeah, fine. That happens a lot here too. Right, Sam?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Words are hard.
But basically, like, I like to be hands-on. I like to do art and stuff during my sessions, and it's really hard for me to give you an art project if you don't
Paint
have
this.
the
Oh, you don't have
materials.
pencils. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, go online and join me on
Right.
idraw.some sort of URL.
And I also like to do family genograms, which is basically like a family tree that also has what the relationships are like between the people. It's really good for like mapping out cycles of abuse and communication and all of that. And it's really hard to do that whenever it's like, what, I can share my screen with you. Still not going to pan out that great.
No.
I like
Sorry.
I like to have a whiteboard and draw it out loud.
I got to thinking that and thought, what would my family tree look like on there? And it's just a whole bunch of like downward spirals, but that's a different story. Not saying my family was bad. It's just there's several black sheep, and I'm definitely one of them. So
I feel that feel.
yeah.
Yep, Black Sheep Club in here.
I was thinking of drawing one myself. That would be complicated.
We have a black sheep that actually sits on the wall now. It's a different story. It was an actual sheep that was black. Long story short, we got a Jacob sheep skull on our wall. So
Yeah.
yeah, he was a bastard.
Was that one of the ones with a bunch of horns?
Yeah,
Yeah,
He's
those
got
are cool,
6.
right?
Yeah.
yeah. So it was like that's why we wanted him. And well, you know what they do with their horns, right?
They rubbed them on everything.
Oh.
Oh no.
They hurt each other.
No,
No?
they hurt you.
Oh,
Oh.
no. I knew there
Yeah.
had to be some kind of hurting somewhere.
There was a reason why it became a wall mount as opposed to a lawnmower. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
And here we own emus too, but that's neither here nor there.
Did you eat them?
Emus?
No, the goat.
Oh, actually, it wasn't a goat. I wish it was a goat. It was a sheep.
Oh, duh. The.
Goat tastes better than sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah, sheep. We actually, the sheep went to Rice's, and we got the head, and yeah,
All right.
cleaned it and stuff.
Fair enough.
Yep. Yeah. Let's see, housing. We want to talk about housing for a bit because you got to move soon. Didn't Bloomington do this huge explosion of multifamily housing? Shouldn't that have brought the price down? But in actual effect, it shot everything up.
Can you say gentrification?
Yeah.
What I have found was a lot of, you can rent a room, not a whole apartment on your own. You can rent a room, yeah. You pay per bed. And I'm just like, I'm not gonna move in with somebody that I don't know.
Per bed. How much is it per bed? I'm gonna get myself the biggest bed I can.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
and
like,
from my experience when I worked in Bloomington, to a lot of places I would deliver to, it was exactly that.
yeah.
You'd pull up to a house with 9 mailboxes on it, and you had to ding the right button or buzzer to make sure you had the right address, because it was all the same place. You just had to look for box 15. It was
Yeah.
15. Oh, it's upstairs around the corner on the back patio. Great, I got to go around there.
Yeah.
Life pro tip, looking for extra income, just fill up a room with as many beds as you can find and rent it out.
That's right.
So, I mean, that, makes me wonder, like, if I move in with my partner,
Mhm.
if I just have a big bed, for me and my partner, as you typically do.
It's one bed, right?
It's one bed.
Yeah, that's what I said. 'Cause if it's per bed, one big king, everybody move in.
There we go.
Make it a tent.
I'm a large man, I need a large bed.
California king.
Yeah.
There we go. Done.
One day.
Yeah.
You can just push 2 twins together for now. It's the same size.
Oh, I don't think we ever covered it. Jake, who's sitting over here, is my partner.
Yep.
So,
Well, I think we knew, the audience didn't. But
Yeah.
that's
did the
good.
audience really need to know? Let's find out. If you're out there in internet world, tell us. Type,
Yeah, come on, Ford.
hunt, peck.
No, I'm just talking about sleeping next to him for funsies.
Purely platonically.
I mean, I
Purely.
did say this was, talk about whatever you wanted, but
Mm-hmm.
do we really want to have that video on? I mean, we could move Jake over here and videotape that.
Like how
Just you two
large
standing next
he
to each
is?
other.
No, you said you wanted to lay next to him
Oh.
platonically. So.
Well, we're at about the hour mark right
Oh,
now.
What time? So it's
7:30.
7:30. What would you like to do? You are the guest, so we either try to keep talking for 15 minutes, which we can definitely do, obviously, or we can go ahead and end it here. It's up to you.
I'm getting hungry, Jake. How about you?
Oh, I'm getting kind of hungry too. But
I
I'm
mean-
fine with whatever.
I'm always down for food. So. But I'm also down for conversation. You looked a little
Yeah, no,
disappointed.
see, that's the joke. Finally, we got to do it to you for once.
You look so disappointed. I mean, I can bullshit for another 15 minutes.
Easily. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. See, the thing is, now that Sam did that, he's got to buy us all lunch.
Ooh.
That's after Thursday when my paycheck hits. Thank you very much.
That's fine. We'll all show up as civilians. Hey, I got him in. All right.
Hey, there's a difference between buying and making the lunch. You get to choose.
How about
I don't care
both?
who makes it,
Damn it.
but you're buying, and I want the Simon level hot chicken.
I'm just going to have to go buy specialty hot sauce because I put everything hot on it that I can to make it.
Well, I'm really curious.
make it
You keep
upsetting.
talking about that
Yeah,
jam.
we
jalapeno
didn't
jam.
get jalapenos in the last truck, so I couldn't make jalapeno jam. Otherwise, I was prepared.
Just let me know when you can make some and
All right.
put it down.
Civilian sponsorship when?
I've been trying.
It happens
Sam-
a lot.
Sam hasn't been twisting their arm enough.
I'm doing so much. Okay.
You're the one who works there. You D&D with these people. Come on.
Yes.
Ooh, now I really want poutine.
Oh,
That is
Yeah, but
civilian.
it's
not till
Monday.
Wednesday.
We gotta wait. Yeah, we gotta wait 48 hours plus. But all right.
Sorry, I
let's
have
go
an
ahead.
air fryer. We can make it at home. You just stop by the house real quick. We can throw some homemade poutine down.
Oh, the fries the same though.
Oh well, no, they're gonna be
No.
whatever I get, but they're gonna be fantastic no matter what. It's an air fryer.
Nah,
I don't know, because something about the way civilians' fries are, and I'm not boasting here because it's civilians. Their fries are like my favorite right now.
Well, they're beer battered, and then
Yeah.
we fry them with love to perfection.
I believe
How long
it.
does it take you to stir up some love?
About 4 minutes,
Okay.
Is that all?
Hey,
Takes
that's
Jake
like
about
3
half
times.
an hour.
4 to 5 minutes. Yeah,
I was
well,
about to
you know.
say 4 or 5 minutes. That's longer than American average, but that's okay.
But a bum.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and end the show here on that, since we whipped that one out. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Lindsay, thank you for coming on. If you ever want to come on the show again, please do.
Thank you for having me.
We'll check up on some of your future endeavors. If you actually do get far enough in the future, and I'm still doing this, and you publish, you're definitely coming on the show.
Yeah, that
That'll
would be really good.
fantastic. Again, thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I
And
enjoyed it.
let's see if Sam knows what to do here. As I say goodnight, everybody, he's supposed to switch us over to the second from the top scene. The one that says
The one that says scene, yeah.
Yep.
Hello, Andy. This is Colin. I won't be able to get in tonight. I'm sweating like a pig.